What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. So we had Bitcoin 5% overnight. What is going on with the Bitcoin price? Well, it may actually have something to do with an anonymous whale who closed a massive short position and also the founder of Terra. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but in 3 days, my friends, we have something very, very important happening for Bitcoin, and I have a hunch that we are going to have a massively, bullishly green month of April for Bitcoin, but in the next 3 days, we do have something happening, and it could get a little bit crazy for Bitcoin, but it is going to definitely be very, very positive. We're going to go over 3 reasons why it doesn't matter what Jerome Powell is talking about as far as being hawkish and people are freaking out over these interest rate raises, etc. No, Bitcoin will remain resilient, and I'm going to let you know exactly why. And also, in yesterday's breaking news, we talked about Goldman Sachs doing the OTC trade, and I told you it was going to be the spark that ignited the fire, and today we have even more news showing that I was right. So we're going to talk about all that if that's what interests you. But also, guys, I just want to mention, and I've been meaning to tell you about this. We have the Bitcoin Miami conference happening in Miami Beach. This is April 6th through 9th. I highly suggest if you're in the area, you definitely should go to this. I've gone to this every year they've done it, and it's always been extremely fun. It's happening, the 6th through the 9th in Miami, but I'm just letting you guys know this because they're going to be increasing these ticket prices in the next 10 days. So if you are interested, check that out. And even if you don't want to go to the conference, you should definitely go to the Sound Money Fest. They have a lot of really cool people there. Logic, Steve Aoki, a bunch of other people, San Holo. My sister's really into them. Dead Mouse. A lot of people know Dead Mouse. So if you guys are interested and you want to go to this, I do have a code you guys can use if you want to get 10% off. When you check out, just put in the code ZOMBIE, just ZOMBIE, ZOMBIE, and you'll get 10% off. It also helps support the channel, but just letting you guys know, I'm probably going to be mentioning this leading up to that. But that being said, guys, if you are not subscribed to the channel, definitely consider it. We got a lot to go over today. We got some big news to go over. So, first of all, having a look right here, you can see that this is actually the BLX. So this actually shows you it's a day behind, essentially, right? So you could see right here that Bitcoin was trying to push on this green resistance right here. The next level that we were looking to hit was around 43,474. Now, currently, Bitcoin is sitting at around the $43,000 level. We haven't quite gotten up to that level just yet. There may be some more room for that price action to move. And I had talked about down here, you can't say we didn't mention it. We said that this area right here on this Ichimoku cloud on the weekly has been phenomenal support for Bitcoin. We had this crazy little wick right here, but then every other time, even though we did have a lot of selling pressure from the top, Bitcoin bounced, it bounced. And right here you can see we are in fact continuing to the upside. We are above the $41,600 level. We are back in the blue zone, and I've literally been talking about this for feels like, well, actually it has been. We've been talking about it for a year, literally for an actual year. But essentially when we hit this level right here on January 7th of 2021, we put in that significant level of $41,600. You could see the significance of how many times we have had that act as, support, flip, resistance over here. Then we have support again. Then we have the capitulation wick again. And then currently, it's actually acting sort of as the middle ground right now. So the fact that we're closing above this is very good for Bitcoin. And as I've been saying, essentially, we are in this. Now, it is a rising wedge ultimately, although on the short term, you could see right here, some people are saying that potentially this could be a ascending triangle, right? Correct? Even though it did, come off of a downside, but just pointing it out, we had a descending triangle here, which is a bearish formation coming off of a 55% move, and we still pump to the upside. So this is actually looking even more bullish because we are forming the ascending triangle, and we are putting in higher lows on the macro, right? Especially on the overall, right? If we look right here, this is just a giant upper sloping trend, which is really, 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 really good for Bitcoin. So could we get back to some of these crazy levels like $60,000, $70,000 next month? Why do I think April is going to be an amazing month? Well, we're going to get into that in just a second. But what I do want to point out is something that happened very mysteriously over the nighttime. So we had an anonymous whale which had opened a massively large short position on Bitcoin, suddenly closing it out of nowhere. And almost immediately after that, we saw a massive pump. So some people are saying maybe this was like some insider information because there was over $75 million in forcibly closed positions that were, due to liquidations, essentially. And then we had the move to the upside. So was this just a little short squeeze, or did somebody know something? Well, this is very interesting. Take this with a grain of salt, do what you will with it, but I'm just going to bring this to you. So Do Kwon, Terra's founder, you may be familiar with them, apparently said too much in a Twitter conversation where he was talking to Udi Worthmere, the UST, I think I said his name wrong, but anyway, he's a Bitcoin maxi, and he was talking to him about the UST stablecoin. And he was saying it's not just backed with Luna, but it's also backed with Bitcoin. So this kind of sparked people to start looking around the blockchain to find different wallets. And they ended up finding a Gnosis safe address right here that you could see apparently belonged to Luna, and it had moved $125 million in tokens. Now, where did these tokens go? Well, it looks like they sent it to Binance. So the fact that we had this whale closing its position and then them sending this money over, $125 million in Tether, which why would you send a stable coin to an exchange unless you're actually going to buy a crypto with it? And then and we know they're doing this with spot, right? This isn't OTC, presumably, and then all of a sudden we see the price pump. So do these guys know something that we don't? Well, if we have a look right here, we've had over 61,000 Bitcoin taken off of the exchanges recently. Now, this could be a trust issue. It could be because maybe they don't trust the centralized exchanges, whatever, not your keys, not your coins, right? But at the end of the day, I think there has been some massive, heavy accumulation happening in the background, right? We're looking at these OTC deals like I was talking about yesterday, even though granted that one was technically cash settled, but these happen all the time. They happen all the time. And I really, truly believe that everyone that's been getting bored with this price action, what's really, truly been happening is these big players are buying. Come on, all these guys, they keep saying the same thing. I'm not buying until it goes to 28. I'm not buying until it goes to 24, till it goes to 20. Come on. Why are you saying that? It's probably because you're trying to accumulate now, trying to trick everyone else into thinking it's going to go lower. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't have one final dip. I'm actually going to go into a situation, and I'm going to tell you why the next 3 days are very, very critical for Bitcoin. But first, I just want to explain why Bitcoin has been so resilient. Number one, you could see the Fed's tightening has been priced in. Everybody was expecting them to do this. It's not a surprise. Powell's hint of aggressive rate hikes is hardly surprising. If anything, last week's hawkish Fed meeting and Powell's comments to Monday confirmed investor expectations and appear to have removed a significant amount of uncertainty. So you had Jeff Dorman, he's the CIO at Arca, and he said investors hate uncertainty more than they hate bad outcomes, and that's exactly where the markets stand today. So the fact that essentially the Fed did exactly what we thought they were going to do was actually bullish because it was being priced in. We already had stocks falling. We had that 20% drop right in the NASDAQ, and we had that 50% drop for Bitcoin, which we have obviously been recovering from that point. So the second thing, which a lot of people have been talking about, is a recession, but they're saying it actually could be a blessing disguised as a curse, right? So according to the Fed funds futures, interest rate derivative traders are pricing in rate cuts as early as 2023. So they don't even think that it's going to last that long, saying that even if they do raise rates this year, they're probably going to start slashing them again next year anyway. So you have US Treasury yield curve representing the spread between 10 and 2 yields at just 17 basis points short of inversion. So if it does have an inversion, this is an indicator of a recession. But Griffin Arden, a volatility trader, says that the inversion of the curve signals to investors that the Fed may compromise in the future, so it's actually a good sign. Once the economy is in trouble, the Fed can only turn back the road of quantitative easing based on current macro data. The current economic situation can support the Fed's hawkish policy, but the maximum period will not exceed 2 years. So, like I said, this could be sort of a blessing disguised as a curse. And finally, this is actually the thing that's happening in 3 days. We do have pre-options expiry bump. So in 3 days, we have the last Friday of the month. And it actually kind of caught me off guard too, because I was like, no, we still have another week left. Yes, but this month, the month of March ends on a Thursday. So we don't get to Friday, right? So wait, it does end on a Thursday, right? I don't know. Point is, this is the last Friday of the month. So that's when options expire, and that is happening this Friday. So if you're not familiar with this, Bitcoin's tendency to gravitate towards the so-called max pain point, or the strike price at which the most open options contracts expire worthlessly, excuse me guys, is essentially what's happening. So option contracts worth about 3.56 billion are going to expire this Friday in 3 days, and the max pain point, according to Terra, which is the world's largest trader for options, is around $41,000. So the likelihood of Bitcoin to sort of hang out around this area is very, very common. Now, considering that we're pumping right now, right, we're up to like 43,000, this could essentially mean that we could come back down to that $41,000 level. But considering everything's being priced in, we talked about the recession as a blessing, disguised as a curse, and a few more things we're going to get into. It could signal that what could potentially happen is we revisit that level. March ends kind of on a neutral note, and then April, the month of the conference, which you guys should definitely go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rooftop parties and musicians and all this kind of stuff. Comedy, there's comedy shows. It could be an amazing month. And, according to the theory, the max pain point acts as a magnet. Since early 2021, Bitcoin has seen increased volatility ahead of quarterly option expiries, with prices pulling back or bouncing towards the max pain point. So that was that news. Now, I want to also talk about some bullish news relating to yesterday. So yesterday we saw Goldman Sachs doing the OTC trade with Galaxy, right? That was the first cash settled OTC deal though. So as a cash settled option, no Bitcoins actually changed hand. Instead, the difference in gains or losses was exchanged in fiat. So according to Goldman Sachs, well, what people are saying is this shows that they're not really going to be custodying the Bitcoin right now, and their clients won't have actual Bitcoin. So there is no real holding of Bitcoin. So it's not actually as bullish as we had anticipated, but we did say that it could spark a revolution. And now what we're seeing is hedge fund Bridgewater Associates saying they may go farther. According to an unnamed source, my favorite types of sources, right? They say the world's largest hedge fund is planning to back an external crypto vehicle. Quite vague, right? Not quite vague, but maybe they're staying vague because they're still figuring out how to incorporate crypto into their services, considering that you have Ray Dalio, Bridgewater's founder, really only finding out about Bitcoin, a little less than 2 years ago. So I think that this is hinting towards something big. They're keeping it vague, but like I said, it always takes that first person, the first bank, the first investor, the first country to legalize Bitcoin, right? And, speaking of country, now currently El Salvador is currently the only country, the only nation that does have Bitcoin as legal tender. However, yesterday, Malaysia's deputy minister of its communications and multimedia ministry told the parliament on Monday that the country should consider adopting cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin as legal tender. The deputy minister said that the communications ministry is trying to see how the country can legalize crypto, quote, so that we can increase the youth's uptake of cryptocurrency. Very interesting. So they want to embrace crypto because they want to get the young people, the youths involved in crypto. Very interesting take. Usually governments don't like what the young people are doing, right? So very, very interesting. Will Malaysia potentially be the next country to legalize Bitcoin as legal tender? Possibly. But you know what, guys? One thing that pisses me off a lot, especially being from New York State, because New York State is trying to do this like 3-year sort of no mining thing, which it's confusing whether or not it's officially going to go through. Kind of upsets me because you are seeing companies taking advantage of Bitcoin mining by using greener solutions, or at least, like, for example, what these guys are doing, they are using coal waste to mine Bitcoin and clean up their community. So next time somebody starts talking smack about Bitcoin and all this other stuff, which, by the way, actually, if you want to hear something interesting about the emissions, despite the controversy surrounding Bitcoin's energy consumption, Finbold revealed information from a study released on January 25th of this year that stated that Bitcoin accounted for just 0.08% of the world's carbon dioxide emission in 2021, right? So essentially, but anyway, getting back to what these guys are doing. So they have a byproduct of burning coal to generate power. So this is leftover. Basically, you can't use it. It's coal ash, right? And essentially, it is not good for the environment. It has the potential to leak into groundwater, damage streams, and it includes heavy metals that are deemed carcinogenic. But what they're doing essentially is collecting them from the neighboring mines and processing them into a waste coal processing plant. The ash is separated from the rest of the waste and crushed before being sent to a boiler building where it is burnt to create energy that is then used to power the firm's Bitcoin mining operation. See, guys, we can all exist peacefully and happily. Bitcoin can be mined. You know, this isn't really necessarily, I guess, like green mining, but, you know, it's other... I mean, essentially, they're saying that this stuff is carcinogenic, and I don't know, they're burning it, they're using it. So I just like to bring up these stories because I really, really hate when people talk smack about Bitcoin. That's what gives it value, guys. That's what gives it value. And following in their footsteps of all these scammer shows on Netflix. So do you guys remember Quadriga? CEO CX, how he like died, and then they thought maybe his wife poisoned him, or maybe he faked his death. Well, looks like Netflix is actually making a documentary about this, and you can actually watch this if you want. I don't know if I could play it on here, but you can go on Netflix and you can watch this. It's called Trust No One, The Hunt for the Crypto King, official trailer at Netflix. So check that out. Pretty interesting. And once again, I will leave a link below to the Miami conference if you guys are going. Make sure if you want that 10% off, you use the code ZOMBIE. I'm going to be there. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. You should definitely come and say hello. That is at b.tc. Literally, that's the website, b.tc. If you want /conference, I'll drop the link below, and hopefully you will come and we will have a wonderful time and party in Miami. But that being said, guys, I do think that April is going to be a massive, massive month for Bitcoin. I really think that this is the calm before the storm, like I said in yesterday's video, and I'm feeling pretty bullish. I'm feeling pretty excited. Like I said, this week could get a little bit weird, but then the sky is the limit, my friends. Actually, the sky is not the limit. The moon is the limit. No. We're going beyond the moon. There is no limit. There's no limit because there's infinite amount of cash. Therefore, there is no limit for Bitcoin. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you guys are interested in learning how to trade, make sure that you watch my videos popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.